Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video, we successfully complete our increase option, that means the product increase option and the decrease option. And also we successfully complete our remove option, that is our total price is now visible. So now I want to do, if you go to our checkout page, that means I also defined the button as a process to payment. So here if you click on particular that button, then it will be redirected to another page as a checkout page. So how can create this checkout page? In this video, I will show you that things with a live example. So for doing this, first of all, I want to create another application, then it will be better. So I have already created one of the application as a app logging, there is a app order and the app shop. So now I want to create another new application. Now go to our terminal and here I just simply define as a py and then manage.py and then start app. And now I want to define one of our application name will be as a app underscore payment. So I just name it as a app underscore payment. Okay, so now if you click as a enter, and now you can see it's now created our application name, that is our app payment. And also in our template area, I want to create another folder with the same name. So here I define that name, it should be as a app underscore payment. So I just name it as the app payment. Okay, friend. And also after that we have to add this application in our main setting. Go to the setting. And here right now I want to run our server as a py, Here I just simply define as a py and then manage.py and then run server. Click as a run server. Yeah, our server is now running, and now I want to add our application. So our application I have created. So after this I define as a app underscore payment. So that is our app payment, right? So I have created our application name, and also into the application area we have to create one of the URL. So better I want to create new file and I just name it as a urls.py, right? And also we have to add this py in our main URL. That means that is our main URL. So after this I just take another one. So here I just simply define another one and it should be as a payment. Okay, it should be as a payment and include our app payment. So I just name it as app payment and then include our app payments URLs. Perfect. And now go to our URLs. That means here that is our app payment and that is our app payment URL, and it should be just like better I copy something from here. Okay, I just simply copy it, and now in particular that position, that means in our app payment area, that is our URL. Here I just simply paste it. So it should be from our Django views input path, and then that will be our views. So that will be our app underscore payment. So app payment and input that views, and I just name one of the app name and I just name it as the app name. So right now I didn't create anyone. So right now I just make the things as a blank. Okay. Now I just click as a save all. So for the payment, that means for the app payment, I want to create one of the model. So if you go to our model, so right now there is a setting. We don't need this model. We don't need this. That is our URL. I also don't need this. So now in our app payment area, that is our model. Here I want to create one of the model for our this checkout page. Okay. So now after that is actually by default building as a models, and also after that I need our settings. So I just simply define the from and the Django. So from Django the conf, so into the config. Here I want to input our setting. Okay, I just input our settings, right? And then I want to create one of the class, and I just name that class as a class, and I just name it as a billing address. So I just name it as a billing address, and here it should be inherited our models and also the model, right? So also that is will be inherited our models and the model. And after that we have to define our some of the fields. So first of all we need that user, and user will be with our models, and also here I have to define that our foreign key with our setting, right? So I just simply define as a foreign key. So foreign key and then our settings. So into the settings area, that will be our auth user model. So auth underscore user model. So here you have to defining it, and also I define as a on delete. That means the on delete, and on delete will be as the same as the models and the cascade. So models and the cascade, right? So I just simply defining that user, and also I want to define some of the billing address details field, like as a we need that address, we need that zip code, city, country, right? So I just simply define as a address. So address, and this address will be as a with these models, and the type will be as a character field type. So that will be as a character field type, and also here I want to define some of the maximum length, that max and the length. Max length here I define that as a 264. Okay, and also I make as a blank. So blank will be as a true. So I just simply define as a true. And also I want to take another one. I want to take another as a zip code. So zip code, and this will be with this models and then character field. So that will be also a character field, and then our maximum length here I also want to define that maximum length, and for this zip code will be as a 10. Okay, and also blank. So blank will be as a true. So I just name it as a true. And then we will need our city and the country. So I just simply define as a city. It will be as a models and then character field. And then here for the city I define some of the maximum length, and maximum length for the city I define as a 330. Okay, and then blank will be as a true. So I just simply defining it. Then the country, so country will be the same as a models and then character field, and then maximum length, and then maximum length for the country I define as a 20, and then blank it will be as a true. So I just simply define as a true. Perfect. And after that I want to display some of our return value with our name. Okay, so here we have to create some of the function, that is our string function. String function will be as a str, right? So string function here I have to define that self. So with this self here we have to define the return. So I just want to return some of the username text, then it will be better actually. So I just simply define with the f, and here I want to display our with this self, and then our user. That means with this user I want to access our model. Here I have already defined that our foreign key with our setting. If you go to our app logging, into the app logging, if you go to that model, I want to actually visible that our profile username. So that is in our profile. You can see that is our profile, and here with this profile I want to access our this username, right? So here we have to defining it. So I just simply define it with this user, and then I want to define that profile. So I just put that relation name, that means the related name as a profile, and with this profile I want to use that our username. So I just simply define that username, and after that username it will be showing some of the string message as a billing. Okay, billing address. So this type of one of the message it will be display. So here I just simply returned it. And after that I also want to check all that our field, that means this field is empty or not. Okay, so here I have to also first of all check it. So we did this type of work before. So now I want to define another function as a def, and I just name it as is fully. Okay, is fully field. So this type of one of the name I have defined, and it will be as a self, right? Because of all here I have created one of the function into the class area. And after that here I want to define one of the variable name as a field name. So I just simply define as a field underscore name. Okay, I just name it as a field name, and here I want to take our functional name. So here I define the f name, and then for f in self. So that will be the same concept that we did. So it will be as a meta. And with this meta we have to get this field. So I just simply define as a function as get fields. Okay, get fields. That means with this here I want to get all that our field, like they have the sum of the field as a address field, the zip code, city, and the country. So it should be get all that our field. Okay, it should be get all that our field and take that field with this variable, that means our this field name variable. So now I want to add one of the for loop. So here into the for loop area, first of all it should be check is the address is empty or not. Then it should be add another loop for the zip code is empty or not. Then the city, and same as the country. Okay, friend. So now for doing this, I want to create one of the for loop. So here I define as a for, and here I name it as a field name. So I just name it as a field underscore name. Okay, field name. In here I take all that our field data and take the things with this variable. So now here I just simply defining it. So better I want to make the things as a fields. Okay, that means a field name and the names, and then I define as a field name in field names. So that is actually plural, and now with this we can actually defining all that our field, right? So now here I just simply defining it, that means our for loop, and then I want to define that all that value. So I just take another variable as a value, and then with this I define as a get our attribute. So with this get attribute here I have to define the self and then our field name, that means this field name. So here with this it should be check every field is empty or not. So for the reasons here we have to define that condition if our this value, okay, that means here I define all that our field, and if our this value is none. Okay, so here I define on none or empty. So that means the value will be as a equal empty. So it should be check it. So if it's empty or if it's none, then it should be returned. Okay, so it should be returned. So it should be returned the false. It should be returned the false, and rather than it should be returned true. Okay, that means the return true. So rather than it should be returned true. So I hope you can well understand about it, friend, what exactly the things I did on here. So with this field name I get all that our field data, that means all that our field data I get that things with this variable, and after that I just simply define our the for each. Okay, so into the for loop here we have to define that singular in our plural name, that means this one. So for the reasons here I define that name as a names, and that is our names. So whatever the name you actually call on here, if you just make the things as a name, okay, if you want to change it only that name, then you can change it, and you have to then pass it in our this self area. So here you have to pass it. So right now it's okay with me, so I just simply define that name as a name and the names, and then our value will be our get attribute. With this get attribute I just simply define that field, that all that our field, and then I define that condition if our this value, that means here I get all that our field data, and with this I take the things with this variable, and now I just simply define that condition if our value is none or if this value is empty. Okay, then it should be returned our false, rather than it should be returned the true. Perfect. And also for this one, that means the billing address field, here I want to create one of the meta class, that means the class meta. So here I define that class meta, and with this class meta area, when we actually run this, it should be created one of the plural, right? That means the billing address plural. So if you want to make the things as a plural to the singular, then what exactly you have to do? They have also one of the function. I have already discussed about that things with you. That is actually the verbose name plural. So I just name it as a verbose underscore name underscore plural. So we have used it for our category actually. So now I want to use it for our this billing address. So that will be actually the different message. It will be as a billing address. Okay, so this type of one of the name it should be display as a billing addresses. Okay, addresses. So this type of one of the name is still visible. Here we have created one of the class, that is our billing addresses class, and that is all that our field. So now we have to migrate it, right? That means this model I want to migrate. So if you migrate it, if you click as a save all, so I just simply define as a save all. So here you can see it's now showing some of the error in our URL spy, that is our form Django URL input path. That means that is in our URLs, that means in our app payment URL. So let's check this out, what exactly the things I did wrong here. So it's actually getting one of the space. You can see there is actually one of the space. So better I just simply remove that space and now click as a save all. and also it's not getting another spaces. So there is another spaces I have defined, there is another space better, and I click at the save all. Yeah, you can see it's not perfect. So now I want to actually run it. That means I want to migrate our database that I have created. So that is our billing address. So now here I want to run it. So here that is our Pi, and then manage, and then make migrations, and then our application name will be as a app_payment. Okay, app_payment. Better I have to minimize it a little bit. So you can see that is actually our manage, that means Pi, manage Pi, and that make migrations and the app payment. So now I want to enter it. So now you can see it's now creating our model as a billing address, right? And now after that I want to create as a Pi, and then manage .py, and then migrate. So I just name it as a Pi, manage Pi, and the migrate, click as a enter. Yeah, everything is now perfectly running. Perfect. So now we have to visible it, right? So we have to visible our all that field. So we have to visible all that field in our page. So if you want to visible it, then we have to create one of the form for this one. So in our app payment, so here I want to create new file, and I just name it as a forms. Okay, I just name it as a forms.py. So into this form.py, here I want to define all that our field. So here first of all we have to take our from Django. That means our Django form we have to input forms. So I just simply define as our forms, and then our from our app payments. From our app payment, that is our models, right? That is our models. Sorry. So from to the model I want to input. I have created one of the model in our app payment. Into the model area I have created that model name as a class name as a billing address. So now I just simply input our billing address, right? And now I want to define our form. So I did one of the class. So into the class area I just name it as a billing form. Okay, so this type of one of the name I have defined, and it will be inherited our form. That means our building forms. And also it will be inherited our model form. So I just simply define the model and then form, right friend? And then I have to define that our meta class. So I just simply define the class meta, and into this class meta area I define that our model will be as a this one, that means the billing address. So I just simply define as a billing address, and also here we have to define all that our field, which field you want to display. So I just simply define as a field. Our fields will be here. I want to display our all that field actually. So here I have created as a address. So I just simply define that as address, and then also I want to display our zip code, then city and the country. So I just simply define as a zip code, and then the city, and then also the country. Okay, I just simply define that country. Perfect, right? So now I just click as a save all. So now if you want to visible this form, then we have to create one of the view page, right? That means in our app payment, into the view area, we have to create some of the view. So how can do that work? Better I want to continue this process. In our next video, I will show you that things with a live example. So thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.